Welcome back to Beyond the Silence Whispers Across America. I'm Sammy, and tonight we are moving far south to the stark, sun-baked landscape of Belen, New Mexico. This is a story that has haunted the American consciousness for decades. A seemingly straightforward disappearance that blossomed into an international mystery, forever linked to a single, horrifying photograph. This is the case of Tara Calico, a young woman who vanished on a simple bike ride, and in doing so became one of the most recognizable faces of hope and heartbreak in the history of cold cases. The year was 1988. Tara Calico was 19 years old, attending the University of New Mexico at Valencia, known for her bright athletic disposition and her fierce love of the outdoors. She was meticulously organized and deeply committed to her fitness routine, particularly cycling. Her mother, Patty Dole, was aware of the dangers of the open road, especially in such a remote area, and made Tara promise two things before every ride. First, to carry mace for protection, and second, to never ride further than her 10-mile route. Tara, always disciplined, had established a precise 20-mile round-trip habit, cycling along New Mexico State Road 47, a long, flat stretch that was remote, often lonely, but familiar. This routine was the rigid structure that defined her day. Her expected return time of noon was not a loose estimate, but an appointment. This adherence to schedule, which usually guaranteed her safety, made her deviation from it, or rather her failure to complete it, instantly alarming to her mother. The day of her disappearance was Monday, September 20th, 1988. Tara left her home around 9:30 a.m. She was wearing a white t-shirt, stonewashed jeans, and sneakers, and she was riding her bright fluorescent pink Huffy mountain bike, a highly visible combination against the muted desert backdrop. She set off on her route, bringing her Sony Walkman for company. Her mother, Patty, expected her back by noon at the latest. When the clock kept turning past 12:30 p.m., then 1 p.m., Patty's concern curdled into cold panic. For a young woman so fiercely committed to her schedule and with a deep respect for her mother's rules, failing to return from a routine cycling trip signaled definitively that she had met with an external, overwhelming force that prohibited her return. The search began immediately, mobilizing family, friends, and the Valencia County Sheriff's Office along the single stretch of highway. The first and most immediate clues were chillingly scant. Approximately 5 miles from her home, searchers found the broken cassette of her Walkman scattered along the roadside. The fact that the tape housing was not simply dropped but was broken, with its tape ribbon unspooled and scattered, suggested a moment of high-stress struggle, or perhaps a deliberate frantic attempt by Tara to mark her path by dropping fragments as she was being taken or fleeing a vehicle. This small detail instantly transformed the case from a simple missing person report to a suspected violent mid-morning abduction. The most damning piece of physical evidence was discovered the following day: Tara's fluorescent pink Huffy bicycle. It was found abandoned near the highway, untouched but left in the brush. The bicycle, the very symbol of her routine and freedom, was left behind, confirming she did not complete her ride willingly or under her own power. Given the desolate nature of the area and the lack of witnesses, State Road 47 was not heavily trafficked that time of morning. Investigators initially struggled to piece together a sequence of events. They theorized a fast, violent abduction. A vehicle may have pulled up, and Tara, fighting back, was subdued before anyone could see what happened, leaving only the discarded remnants of her property as the vehicle sped away. The case remained cold for nearly a year, despite extensive searches, road checks, and desperate appeals to the public. Then, in a bizarre and horrific twist that solidified the case's place in true crime lore, a pivotal and profoundly controversial piece of evidence surfaced. On June 15, 1989, nearly 9 months after Tara vanished, a Polaroid photograph was found in a convenience store parking lot in Port St. Joe, Florida, over 1,500 miles away from Belen, New Mexico. The photograph depicted a young woman and a small boy, both seemingly bound with rope or tape and gagged with black electrical tape, lying on a pillow or sheet. Both appeared terrified, staring blankly, or perhaps pleadingly, at the camera. The image instantly captivated national attention. Patty Doyle, Tara's mother, was immediately shown the photo. Despite the degradation of the image, the poor lighting, and the trauma visible on the subject's face, she was heartbreakingly certain. The woman in the photo was Tara. She pointed specifically to a small, distinguishing scar on the woman's leg that matched one Tara had sustained in a childhood accident. The small boy was tentatively identified by his parents as 9-year-old Michael Henley, who had disappeared from New Mexico in April 1988, 5 months before Tara. The implication was devastating and terrifying. The abductor was a long-haul, methodical predator, potentially operating across multiple state lines, holding multiple victims captive for months. The FBI, however, could not definitively confirm the identification, citing the poor quality and low resolution of the photo, as well as inconsistencies in facial recognition analysis compared to known images of Tara. This failure to officially confirm the ID immediately fractured the investigation. The initial high hopes surrounding the Polaroid quickly deteriorated into a frustrating debate over its authenticity. Was it a sick, elaborate hoax designed to torment the family? Was it a genuine desperation plea for help, deliberately discarded at a major transport hub like Port St. Joe, which connects to major trucking routes? And if it was Tara and Michael, how had the photo traveled over 1,500 miles? The findings suggested the killer was transient, possibly a long-haul trucker, or someone with deep criminal connections stretching from the Southwest to the Florida Panhandle. The inability to definitively confirm the subjects in the photograph became the single greatest enduring roadblock in the investigation, dividing the theories of law enforcement and diffusing the unified search effort that the image should have generated. While Michael Henley's remains were found years later in a remote area, tragically confirming his death and suggesting he likely succumbed to the elements rather than a specific killer, the link to Tara was never fully established, and the Polaroid mystery endured, adding a tragic layer of ambiguity. The case settled into a painful perennial cold status. In the subsequent decades, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office continued to receive tips. Many of them centered around local rumors involving specific individuals who frequented the area in 1988. But none have ever led to an arrest or the final discovery of Tara's remains. The cruelest irony of Tara Calico's case is that the evidence that should have solved the mystery, the scattered cassette tape, the abandoned bicycle, and the horrifying photograph, only served to deepen the enigma. The image, terrifying in its raw, private cruelty, remains the enduring, unanswered question. Was Tara Calico killed that same morning on State Road 47, or was she transported across the country, held captive, and ultimately silenced by a perpetrator who then mocked law enforcement with a single, shocking photograph? That's where we'll leave it for now. No neat answers, only the questions that refuse to stay quiet. I'm Sammy, and I'll keep telling these stories because someone out there knows something. And for people like Tara Calico, silence should never be the end. If a detail stood out to you, don't let it go. Share it, question it, talk about it, stay with us. This story isn't over, and neither is our search. For more chilling mysteries and untold stories, follow and listen to Beyond the Silence. Whispers across America on all major podcast platforms.